Okay, so this story technically started the 6th of January. So, one of my older cousins, he lives in Georgia, and his mom, and I want to say his parents, they went to Hawaii for a trip, just like a family trip. And it was, it was great. I don't exactly know how long it was, but, and I guess he had a layover in California for like 2, 3 days or something like that. So when he landed in California, he texted my sister and I, being like, hey, like, I'm in California, like, let's meet up, let's do something. And we thought, because he's kind of like a jokester and whatnot, we thought he was just, joking around with us and you know, just messing with us. And then we're like, nah, you're just kidding. Like, you're not in California. So then we're like, prove it. Prove that you're in California. Like, send us your location and whatnot. So he sends us his location, and he is in fact in California. He is in LA, in the LA area. He stayed in a hotel, obviously. So then he was like, hey, like, let's meet up the next day. Like, let's do something. Like, I'm only here in California for a few days. Like, I just, I want to see you guys. I want to, you know, get to know California because, it was his first time ever here in California. So we're like, sure. We're both off. Like, let's do it. We have nothing to do. Yeah, for sure. And at the time, well, still now, living here, it's only my sister, my mom, and I. So we're like, sure. So my mom had to work, or else she most likely would have came. I don't know how that would have ended, but so then she got home. I think she was at work. I don't exactly know where she was at, but the thing is, she got home. And then we like told her, we're like, hey, like, a cousin, like, he's in California, he wants to like meet up, he wants to do something, like, is it okay if we go? And she was like, sure, just like be careful and whatnot. So we're like, yeah, for sure, we'll meet up. And he was like, cool. And then we're like, okay, so we'll meet halfway. So I was gonna drive halfway, and he was gonna meet us somewhere where it was like near, and then he was gonna drive the other half to where we were gonna hang out, or our first thing to do. So we had this like whole day plan. Our first destination was gonna be the Hollywood sign, and then after that we are gonna have like a little brunch, and then go to Santa Monica Pier, and then probably go to one of the museums. I think we were gonna go to the Museum of Illusion. I'm not really sure. So we had like a jam-packed day, and then we're like, okay. And because we're from California, we know traveling to LA, or even from LA, like, you have to leave early so you won't catch rush hour, or you have to leave after rush hour. So we're like, we'll leave early and whatnot. So we got up like, I want to say like 3, 4 a.m. And then we started getting ready. We like, you know, texted, we're like, okay, we're up, like. And so then we just started getting ready. We wore like comfortable clothes because we knew we were gonna hike. We wore tennis shoes and whatnot. So then last minute, I was driving the halfway point. My sister's like, hey, like, my best friend's coming along. Is that fine? Like, I already told her. And I was like, sure, whatever. And so we let him know. We're like, okay, like, my sister, she's bringing a friend. Is that fine? And he was like, yeah, for sure. So we drive. It was like probably 5 a.m., 6 a.m. when we started heading out. So we started heading out, and like winter time, like in the morning especially, it will get very, like, because it's so cold, it's very like foggy, and like, so we had to drive really, really slow until we passed the fog, and then we went, and it was good. There was no traffic, like, it was great. And then we arrived there, I want to say like around 6, 7 in the morning. I think it was like more like 6:30 in the morning. And we met at a Walmart that was near his hotel. So we're like, okay. So I left my car, and then he picked us up from his rental car, and then we drove to the Hollywood side. So we go and we start hiking, and it's, it's fine, it's good. Like, we're all having fun, we're all taking pictures. I'm gonna see if there's pictures of like when we're hiking and stuff. I think my sister might have some. I'm not sure if I have some. If I do, I will show you guys. But so we're going, and then apparently there's like two paths for the Hollywood side. There's like a more simple, more careful route, and there's a more adventurous, which equals more dangerous route. And my cousin, he was like, hey, like, are you guys okay if we take the more adventurous route? We're like, for sure, like, let's go. So we go, and there's like this little thingy. It's like rocks, and it's like a little, not hill, but kind of. And we're like, we see it, and then my cousin, my sister's best friend, and I were like, you know what? Let's just, do it. And it wasn't that tall, but it was with rocks, so if you slipped, you could have gone really hurt. And my sister was like, you know what? You guys go, like, I'll just walk around. So me, my cousin, and her best friend, we make it to the top, and then my sister comes. So then we start hiking. Or we start, we're almost finished, so we continue. And at that point, his sister calls, which is my cousin. She's around my age. I think I'm older by a few months or whatnot, but like we're like around this, we're the same age. So then she FaceTimes him, and he was like, oh my god, like, hi, like, and she was like very excited to be like, okay, like, you're together. And like we were talking to her, and obviously the signal and whatnot is not so great because we're so high up. So we're like, the connection was like cutting off. So we're like, okay, like, we'll call you later, blah blah blah. So then we start hiking, and then so it goes, either my sister's best friend and my cousin, or my cousin and her best friend. They were in the front, I was in the middle, and then my sister was in the back. My sister was kind of struggling, so my cousin's like, you know what, I'm going to stay in the back and help her just in case if she needs help with anything. So it's her best friend, me, my sister, and then my cousin. So we hike and everything, and then there's like kind of like a sliding thing. So then I was like, you know what, I will stay with my sister. So then them two go, my sister and I like slide together, and we go. And then there's this like narrow, like little, like walkway, I guess, like little thingy. And it goes, I think my cousin, her best friend, and I'm not sure who, I think it was her best friend, I'm not completely sure, was like, wouldn't it be weird if like an earthquake happened and then my sister crosses, and like literally I cross. This is where it's like confusing, and like I guess you can say there's different sides to the story, but my version, he had the map because he knows how to read maps and whatnot, and none of us do. So he had the map. So I like kind of turned, and I'm like, hey, like, how much longer until we reach the Hollywood side? And in my head, he didn't hear me or whatnot. And then I like kind of felt like kind of sliding. And then after that, like, it was a done deal. So their version is, I asked, hey, like, how much longer? And then by the time my cousin turns to tell me, oh, like, we're like, I think 2 minutes away or whatnot. By the time he turns to like respond, I'm like falling. So I fall like over 100 feet. I think it was like 155 feet down. And it's weird, like even now, like I'm like not good. Like it's hard for me to sleep at night. In the first few months, it was for sure the toughest. Like I would have nightmares, and it was really bad. But with those nightmares, I do remember, like, in my head, like, while I was falling, being like, oh, hey, like, you need to, like, try to figure out how to stop and whatnot. But I was just saying that in my head, and my, like, arms and whatnot could not move. So, like, I wasn't trying to reach for anything, like a branch or anything to, like, stop. So I go, and the weirdest thing is, so there's like these two trees, and it's like this. So it's like hugging kind of format. So I land, so the tree's like literally hugging me. And if the tree wasn't there, I was gonna fall and for sure died. So I'm there being like held by the tree, and then I like come back into, and then like I like come back. I'm like very disoriented, being like, what the heck just happened? And then I like see it. I'm like bleeding. My pants are cut, and like it's just a hot mess. So then I like out of nowhere like start like calling for my cousin, like the only person I could think of to call. So I'm like yelling for my cousin. And then he, for like a few, I like called him like a few times until he heard me. And he was like, oh, hey, like, you're good. And then two people, if I'm not wrong, two people come to them and they're like, what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then they explain that, like, my cousin, my sister, blah, 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 like, she fell. And, like, the guy, he, I guess, was, like, a doctor or something. And he was, I want to say Australian, I'm not sure. So, like, he was, like, talking to me. He's like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, does anything hurt? Like, are you bleeding? And, like, I would respond. I was like, yeah, like, everything hurts. Like, I'm bleeding, blah, blah, blah. And, like, by, like, the second, like, he was talking to me, I felt him, like, closer and closer. So I thought in my head, like, oh, like, maybe he's, like, coming to see if I'm okay or something. And I was like, that's dangerous. And he wanted to go and, like, make sure I was okay. But the person he was with, which I think was his girlfriend, didn't want to, which I understand. Like, it's dangerous and it's a stranger. I get it. So then they call 911. My sister's screaming. I'm like asking, like, is she okay? Because, like, that's traumatic. Like, seeing your sister fall, like, is no joke. So then, like, she's like hyperventilating apparently. I'm like freaking out, and like, I guess it seemed like she was about to pass out. So they like sit her down. They're like, okay, you need to calm down. You need to breathe. Like, we don't need something worse to happen. So they call 911. They like tell them the situation, and meanwhile, I'm like talking to this guy, being like, hey, like, I don't feel well. Like, I feel really sleepy. Like, I feel dizzy, I feel this. And he was like, okay, like, don't fall asleep, don't close your eyes, like, stay with me, like, talk to me. And he was like, just asking me things, obviously, to, like, keep me awake and keep me responsive, like, what's your name, like, how old are you, like, who'd you come with, blah, 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 like, regular things. So then the helicopter comes, and they're like, and like, because the helicopters have like a little like speaker or something, and they're like, okay, like, can you move something, like a branch or something? So I like moved a branch so like they could find me. So then they like come down, and there was a guy, he came down, and like he like strapped me, well, technically, so he came down, and then where I landed wasn't like a plain surface. It was kind of, I think, like this, I'm not sure, but it wasn't plain like the surface. So he needed me in a plain surface so he could like pick me up. So then he was like, okay, like, I'm gonna need you to like kind of like crawl up. I know it's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna need you to do that. So then I like start climbing up and whatnot, and to the point where he's like, okay, like, you're good. So then he straps me up, and then he like he's like, okay. He tells the guys, he's like, okay, she's ready. And then I like go up. And then I get in the helicopter, they get me, and then they like start being like, are you okay? Like, what's your name? Like, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. And then, so I love this like medical show. It's called Grey's Anatomy. Great show. They kind of ruined it, but overall, great show. But like, no joke, I like, once I landed in the hospital and like they rushed me into the, like, rushed me through the doors, like it literally felt like Grey's Anatomy. And they started like, you know, doing their stuff. So then I get in the helicopter, I land, they take me in, they start, you know, giving me like liquids and whatnot, and like being like, are you okay? And then they start putting me through x-rays, CAT scans, and everything. So I'm there for a really long time. They put a neck brace because they don't know if I broke my neck and whatnot. So then I go through all that, which is weird because, so this phone, this is my old phone. I've had this phone since graduation of high school. So this was my graduation present from my parents. This phone was in my pocket. I usually wear like leggings with pockets. It's more convenient. I get to have my phone and I don't have to like struggle. So I was wearing one of those leggings, and I was wearing some tennis shoes I had barely gotten from Christmas from my aunt, and they were brand new and everything. So I had this phone in my pocket, and as you can tell, it did not crack or anything. It did go through it though, because after a while, like, I could not make phone calls or anything, and then this button to like silent the ringer or whatnot, it just kind of not really worked anymore. So then I had to get a new phone, which I did. I got an XR. But back to the point. So then I was looking for this phone to like see if I can contact my sister and blah blah blah. So I guess when they're up there, so when they take me to the helicopter, I guess a car or something of the ambulance, they come pick up my like cousin, my sister, and her friend, and take them down to the parking lot. And then they're on the way. My sister calls my dad, being like, hey, like, Jennifer had an accident. Like, my cousin was here. Like, we went to the Hollywood sign, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, your cousin? Like, he's in Georgia. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, no, like, he came to California to visit, where we went to the Hollywood sign, blah, blah. And then he didn't believe until like she like passed him the phone, and he was like, hi, like, hey, like, what's up, kind of thing. So then he was like, oh shit, like she did have an accident. And she was like, we're on our way to the hospital, blah blah blah. And then I'm pretty sure she gave him the information of what hospital we were going to, or at least the name. So then my dad is like calling my mom, and my dad's job is more like lenient than my mom's. My mom, I don't think she can have her phone on her. My dad can, and that's why he was able to answer. Plus my dad has like the Bluetooth thingy, so that's why he was able to answer without like getting like in trouble or anything. So my mom, I don't think she has her phone when she's working. So my dad's like calling. She's obviously not gonna answer. So he calls the neighbor to see if that neighbor can get in contact with my mom. That doesn't work out. I don't know why he did that, because if he didn't get in contact with her, what makes him think that the neighbor could? Anyways, so then he calls her job. He's like, hey, I need to talk to my wife. Like, it's an emergency. So they go get her. They're like, hey, your husband's on the line. He needs to talk to you. And then he's like, hey, like, Jennifer had an accident. Like, we need to go to LA. We need to go see if she's okay. So then he was like, "Are you gonna be able to drive home, or do you want me to go pick you up?" She's like, "No, no, no, I'll drive home." So she drives home, and then he meets her here. They go to LA and everything, and then by the time all this is happening, I'm getting like my CAT scans, my X-rays, and whatnot, and like they're giving me fluid because apparently I was dehydrated, and I think that's what caused the accident. Maybe I was just dehydrated, and maybe that's why I like passed out. I don't know, but they said that that was what literally saved me, and that I was literally a miracle because my body, like, I passed out and my body was so limp, and I was just like going, is the reason why like nothing happened. Because if I had slipped and I was conscious and I was like with my head like, you need to stop and like try to reach for a branch or try to reach for something, I could have either one died or two had like serious injuries, like a broken leg, broken arm, broken whatever and whatnot. So I mean, I still have side effects from it. Like, my back has never been the same. My back after a while does hurt so bad. My knee, especially the one that like got real bad, like I have like a scar kind of thing. That one out of nowhere will like lock whenever it wants. And then my head, I'll get like horrible migraines and whatnot. And I have been going to a neuro specialist, a brain specialist, to see like what's going on. The last time I went, they did say I had like still a mild concussion, and that's like, but when I went, that was like really close to a year. So I'm still not good, but at the end of the day, I am alive. So, but yeah. And then, so then my parents, they reached to the hospital. By the time they reached, my sister and my cousin came, and they freaked out because they saw me in a neck brace and whatnot. But they saw that I was talking and I was fine. So then a few hours have passed, and then my parents come. So then they let them come. My dad, even till this day, I say like my dad could have had a better reaction, but that's just him. That's just his character, I guess. But like, he was pretty upset, and even till this day, like, he's still kind of mad at my cousin, which I don't get, because it was a freak accident. It literally could have happened to anybody. Like, it happened to me. Like, it could have happened to like a complete stranger, you know. But so he kind of was mad. He was kind of like yelling, being like, "What were you doing there? Blah blah blah." On the other hand, my mom, which I love her. She's literally the best person. I love her with all my heart. She literally had the reaction that I wanted and needed at the time. She didn't care what happened, if someone's fault it was or whatnot. Like, she was a mom. She was just caring, and she was worried, and she was just happy and glad to see that her daughter was alive. Not that I'm saying my dad wasn't. I'm pretty sure my dad was happy, and maybe like him being mad was just a way of like showing like he was scared and didn't know what really happened. But my mom, she was just happy that I was okay and whatnot. And I love her. Like, I would do anything and everything for her. I love that woman to death. But yeah, so then they released me, and I obviously don't want to be stressed out. So I'm like, can my cousin stay? So then he stays. My mom, my dad, and my sister, they leave to the waiting room. So then they're like filling out the release papers. And then he was like, okay, like, do you have a car? And he was like, yeah. So he goes, gets the car, and then the nurse takes me. Obviously, my clothes was not stageable because it was ripped. And even when I went there, they had to rip it more. It was a whole thing. So then, they like give me like new clothes that I can wear at least for like the time being until I get home. So then he pulls out his car. They put me in a wheelchair. I go and like they put me in his car, and then we drive to where my car is. And then I want to say my mom drove my car back home, and I was in a lot of pain, so I didn't really want to move. So I stayed in my cousin's car. So he drove all the way to my house, and then he even spent the night. And he left kind of early the next day, but he spent the night. Like, we were like playing games. We were like, with my mom. But yeah, I did want to show you guys. So this is a picture. Obviously, I will put it in a video, but these are like pictures of like how bad I was. Like, it was bad. Let me see if I can find like where like you can see the bruising on my knees and whatnot. Like, my hand was real jacked up. Let me see. You can kind of see my arm right there. Like, it was like real purple. And at the time, because it was the holidays, I was wearing acrylic nails. So all that got messed up. So it was really, really bad. And my knee, I know I have a picture and I'll just put it in the video, but it was like very bad and it was very, very scary. Even today, like, we'll laugh about it and we'll be like, that was a scary time and whatnot. But I mean, now we just see it as like kind of a blessing. Like, I'm here, I'm alive and whatnot. But yeah, at the time it was scary, even months after. But yeah, it was bad. Like, the first, I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks were probably the worst. Like, I think I was home, I want to say for 4 days. And then sadly I had to go back to work. Going back to work was probably the hardest because at the time I was in retail. So at the time I was a cashier, so I was just standing. And then it got to the point where my back was in serious pain and I just could not. So then I talked to one of my managers and I'm like, hey, like, I just had an accident, like, my back is in immense pain, like, is there any way like I can like sit or anything? And they were nice enough to like say that, hey, you can sit and whatnot, and like, don't worry. Towards the end, they were like, don't worry about it, we got it. Because I think that night I was closing, I'm not completely sure. Again, it's been a year or whatnot. So, but yeah, so like, luckily by the time I went to work, like, I was kind of mobile. Like, it still hurt to walk a lot, but like, I was way better. Like, the days leading up to that, I even think the day before, like, I was still a wreck. Like, I could not move. I would literally go to sleep, like, I would say like midnight, 1 a.m., and then wake up with immense pain in my back, like around 8 a.m. And like, I could not fall asleep afterwards because I was in so much pain. And like, to go to the bathroom was a whole different story. To take a shower was a whole different story. Like, God bless my sister. My sister, love her to death, because she literally was there for me that time. Like she would literally, like, there was nights where she would like sleep in the ground or sleep in my room, or like if she was sleeping in her room and she heard me like groan or kind of like move and like in pain, like, she would literally, who cares how tired she She would literally get up out of her bed and like go and like make sure I was okay, make sure if I needed anything. So I mean, God, like I'm so happy to have her as a sister. Honestly, like I could not imagine anybody else being there for me at that time. So then my best friend found out. They were so nice. Him and my friend, they got food for me and my sister, and they like brought me like get well balloons and like a flower. I still have the flower. It's obviously like dead and dried up, but I still have the flower because that flower means so much. Because I mean, at that time, like that was the time where I was in a lot of pain and needed, a lot of assistance, and they were there for me. And but yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys this story. Um, this video might be long. Like I'm looking at it just now, it's about to be 31 minutes, so it might be pretty long. But I do apologize for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know. Sounds weird to say, but let me know your favorite part. I don't know if there is a favorite part, but yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and like I always say, I love you guys, and be careful, be safe, and yeah, I will talk to you guys in my next video.